stay in touch with folks, on different social networks and past lives, this is a great way to sort of connect with your network. My professional journey. So LinkedIn was actually a really critical part of my professional journey, and how I came here today. So I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, and a little bit of the story here. And if you're in Indiana, if you're a Hoosier fan, I'm sorry. I grew up a huge basketball fan in Lexington, Kentucky. And while I'm sad we don't play every year, I am tried and true to the Big Blue, which makes it a little awkward sometimes when my client is the IU and Purdue systems. But I went to Nashville, Tennessee for college, and went to Vanderbilt University. LinkedIn was not around when I was in school, but it was growing, and I had heard about it. And while I didn't use it at first, I did start my career in Nashville, working first for a healthcare company called On Life Health, in a corporate wellness space, working more in the HR functions there. And then I went to Edo Interactive. You haven't heard of it because it's not a very successful company. It was a startup that's still around, but a company that is still trying to sort of get off the ground, and in sort of the Groupon space, if you're familiar with that industry. So, something you'll hear a lot from people who have been in the tech industry is it's okay to fail. And while I feel like I did a great job in my role, our company, is not the next Groupon and did not go public. So Nashville, Tennessee led me to Boston, Massachusetts, where I went to business school, getting my MBA. It was a big journey for me. I sort of grew up in a very tight network of Kentucky and Tennessee. I was looking for sort of a change. I didn't really care about where I lived. I wanted to be a part of a great company. But even in a school like Harvard, it's really hard to get a job. And some of you who are looking for a job now know that. You just can't apply to a job and hope they pick you out, because there's a lot of great people who are also looking for those jobs, and many of those are my peers. And so I sort of made a determination of I want to work in sports and I want to work in HR. I was always interested in people and helping them, but I really love sports and I really wanted to work in the industry, and particularly consumer goods. And there was one company in particular, and that was Nike. It was sort of a dream of mine to move to Portland, Oregon to work for Nike. And that's a tough job to get, as you can imagine. They get hundreds of thousands of applicants every single year. So what did I do? I fired up LinkedIn and found this guy. He was a senior leader at Nike and still is there. And I got creative and found his email address and emailed him and messaged him through LinkedIn as well and connected with him. And I said, hey, you don't know me, but this is my story and I want to learn more. And sort of fortuitously, after a 20-30 minute call, he said, what are your goals? Like, you seem like a smart guy. Do you want to learn more about working here? And I was like, absolutely. And honestly, as he would tell you this too, I would have never gotten a job there if I hadn't reached out. He was open to hiring an intern, but he didn't know if anybody was interested in working for him. He's busy, like a lot of leaders. And so, while I sent a lot of these emails that never got returned, this was sort of the lucky story that worked out. It took that kind of relationship and taking that risk. And I would encourage you all to just do this today. It might be uncomfortable at times, right? It's not going to always be easy, but get out there, build that profile, and reach out to individuals if you're looking for a job. And again, I sent tens of, maybe even hundreds of these kind of messages, sort of prospecting to do networking, and none of them were returned, but this one was a good story. And then moved to Portland, Oregon. So I spent my summer internship in business school at Nike. Had a great personal development occurred during that time. Fell in love, met a girl, and realized that with her family's geography and her job, Portland wasn't going to be a long-term situation. So led me to Chicago, where her family's from, and was actually reached out to on LinkedIn by LinkedIn. Right? So some of you may have gotten messages before, and that's what our corporations do, is they look for people like you. So when we talk about building a good profile, it's not just for vanity. Right? Corporations are looking for individuals with certain skills. Say you're an accounting major and you're getting CPA certified and you do an internship, right? Those are certain qualifications that people really care about. And they found my qualifications to be interesting to LinkedIn because I had worked in the industry and I worked at a similar company in Nike. And so it was sort of a total stroke of luck. And so I'm grateful for what LinkedIn's done in sort of my journey, and hope it can be helpful for you. So, my job search out of college was tough. When I graduated, the economy was down, the crash was upon us, and I didn't really have much of a network to really draw from. So what would I have done better, and what did I do maybe when I was in grad school? And it all starts with your profile. And this stuff, I want to sort of clarify, this does not take 3 hours to do. This takes 20 minutes, right? Some of this stuff maybe you spend some more time on, but I guarantee you have a headshot out there. You have some of this information even in your resume that you all can do. So start. Photo. It doesn't have to be fancy, but get a headshot. Maybe something that one of your friends can take for you with a nice camera. Cell phone cameras work just as well as cameras did 5 years ago now. So get up against the background, or maybe grab one of your badge photos from school and get out there. And then headline. You don't have to say student at IPFW, right? It's maybe graduating senior looking for a career in marketing. Mine is transforming organizations through higher market sell, which is sort of our tagline, if you will, here at LinkedIn, right? I do a lot more than that. I'm in sales, basically, but I help transform organizations. And then summary, what motivates you? What's your skills at? Right? This is not an opportunity to list everything you've done in the past, how many clubs you're in and what you're the president of. But really, what's a high level, what are your passions? What drives you? A few sentences. You're a graduating senior who's looking to make the next play into accounting and really passionate about sustainable business, and you've worked in the environmental clubs before. I mean, that's a great understanding of who you are, but we tell you where you're from. Is someone to read that? Who are you? And do they want to have another conversation with you? Because every time someone's looking at your LinkedIn profile, they're not hiring you, right? They want to have a conversation. Maybe that's an interview to sort of go from there. And as Ashley said to the group, free professional profile pictures at y'all's jobs fairs. Take advantage of that. Something that I think my profile pictures from 3 years ago. It will last a long time, and it's a great resource that they offer. Experience. So when you think about a resume, this is maybe the closest thing to that. Tell us what you've done. Internships. Some of you may not have a ton of work experience, but list that out there. Maybe you worked in high school. Organizations care about that. This is something you can leverage from your resume, but don't copy and paste it. We don't want to read a book. Resumes are more typically like that, but you can leverage what's going on, and you can use some of the same text. And as organizations, right? So you're a part of different organizations. Tell us about that, because it's really important to being a student. Now, if you go to the LinkedIn.com, we're going to help you with this, right? So you can go to edit your profile. There are some modules set up, so you don't have to reference this. We'll walk you through the steps of how to make a profile more effective. Something you see here, there's the ability to leverage rich media, to upload files or links to videos. Definitely take advantage of that, right? Because sometimes, if you're in a portfolio kind of business, or you just did something really impressive, tell people about it. And you can actually have it on your profile, like an online database for sort of what you've done, and so your potential employers can look into that. And education, right? So tell us, where you went to school, where you went to school. And for those of you who have been in the workforce longer, maybe you're 20 years out of college, as we go back here before I skip ahead, don't be afraid to list all of your experiences. But as you get towards the things that were a long time ago, you don't have to have, 5 bullet points on it, right? Just a quick kind of help us understand what your career journey was. But education, what did you study abroad? Did you do any kind of summer school? And then what do you volunteer in? What do you care about, right? Because a lot of employers would say, I don't care what a student cares about. I just care that they care, right? That they have a passion, that they're much more than someone who has a GPA. And skills and expertise. You may not know what your specific skills are, but you maybe have an idea of it, and people can endorse you for it and leverage that. And honors and awards, don't be shy here. Tell us about it. There's also publications that you can do, and really just help this up. Again, this stuff looks, maybe tough to do, but it's stuff you can really knock out in a matter of 20 minutes. And as you go deeper into this, it's you can edit it, right? So when that first profile setup can be daunting, but once you're from there, maybe you just add a new job that you're in or a new organization you join. That takes a matter of seconds. And lastly, courses. Tell us maybe, don't list all your courses from your 4 years or from your 2 years in business school, but maybe some things are important. If you're interested in econ, is this guy is here, he's talking about some specific courses he took at Berkeley. And he needs some projects, right? So maybe it's a kind of internship or sort of a practicum you did. Maybe it's something you led cross-functionally within the university. Tell us, maybe it's something you did at work that was really effective. You can actually loop in your team members to say, I did this with other people, and then get recommended. So ask managers, professors, or classmates to get recommendations. Now, these are not college recommendations. These are 3 to 5 sentences, maybe more than that if they want to be ambitious, but it should take someone 5 to 10 minutes. And so if you ask for a recommendation, we encourage you to recommend others as well, right? Give them that, right? And when I started my career, I got recommendations on LinkedIn. LinkedIn was very different back then, but those are still there. You know, I sadly have not stayed in touch with my managers from my first job, but those recommendations will still be there. If someone wanted to learn more about me, what I was like there, they could actually go to my profile and read about it. And they can also reach out. So it's really simplifying the way we sort of tell our professional journey. And so Facebook represents Friday and Saturday night. LinkedIn is more professional picture. You know, we loved other social networks. We're all down the road from each other. California, we're all friends. But the more time you get into it, the more you'll get out, right? Just like on Facebook, the more you're on Facebook, the more you know, almost to a fault, at times, who's having a baby and who won, you know, won tickets to the Bears game. LinkedIn will also help you, right? You're building out that profile, and you're really networking. So check the box. We get the profile, we move on. What should you do with your life? You know, and this is where Ashley, I really appreciate what everyone in this sort of career education industry does, because I don't know if I have this answer myself, but I still really will always be a part of that journey. You know, what should I do? What should I look for? Yes, I was an English major in college. I'm in sales now. I started out in HR. When I was an English major studying American literature at Vanderbilt, did I think I was going to go into sales? No. I would have told you absolutely not. But it took asking questions. It took really learning about, you know, things out and trying things, and not always being in the best fit. And my brother's actually many years old age. He's in college. He's a junior, and you know, the journey was not going to be an easy one, right? But the more you engage in it, the better it is, and the more you learn from others and just ask questions, the less lonely it feels. And so we talk about the sweet spot lots of times. And so the secret to loving what you do. Now this is taken from another resource, and I know that you've probably heard things like this, but the hashtag win, or this sort of sweet spot, often comes at the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, and what pays well, right? So money is not everything, right? And so something that you're good at and pays well, but you don't like it, you're going to be bored. Something that pays well and you love, you know, I would love to be a professional tennis player, but I'm not good enough to get there. And then something, you know, when you think about the intersection of what you love and what you're good at, that's, I think, maybe like the closest to the sweet spot, right? You know, money is definitely not the answer, and I think cultures and stories will tell us that. But think about that, right? Now, you're not going to have this figured out. You're not going to find your sweet spot job right away. It's going to take some time. But I think the most important thing you can think about is like not what's your next job, what are you going to do next, but what's your dream? Like, what's your 5 to 10 year vision? And what skills do you want to build now? What experiences do you want to have that get you where you want to go? And knowing that things will change along the way, right? That journey will be an iterative one, and one where you may not have all the answers right at once. And you know, your employment goals. And so again, this will be available for you, but thinking about what kind of company do you want to work for? Large, big, you know, neither is perfect. And maybe you'll interview at both. And I encourage you to not necessarily think that you have to have this all figured out. Do you want an organization with career advancement, right? Do you want to see a path, or are you really looking for a skill you're trying to learn? LinkedIn is not a perfect company. Nike, not a perfect company. And how are you thinking about this journey? What kind of health benefits do you want? For example, I'm married, my wife's in school. It's really important that we have health benefits. It's less likely that I'm going to go to a startup and do my own thing, because it's really important as we start a family to have that. Sometimes a company with great benefits isn't going to pay as well. It's going to be great, rotational programs is going to give you options to grow, but you may not get to do what you want. You may not have as much control over that. And I think it's really important as you're in school or as an alumni or as a staff to leverage your network. So you leverage your LinkedIn network, but also your IPFW network. Take advantage of the fact that, hey, you also went to the same school, or I work at IPFW, and reach out to people. Use the database that you all have. LinkedIn is a great tool, and we're going to show you how to use that. But again, it's not the only tool. And pinging people and say, hey, I'm a senior right now, and I want to reach out because I saw you're in an industry that I want to learn more about. Right? You're not saying, hey, can you give me a job? You're not saying, hey, can I start tomorrow? You're saying, I want to learn more. And they may say no. They may not respond, but many will. And I think it's asking these kind of questions of what their journey's been like, and people really want to have that kind of conversation with you. Getting more specific, who are you? What kind of people do you want to work with, right? Do you want a huge team, or do you want to be sort of alone a lot of times? Do you want people who are going to be brutally honest with you and give you a ton of feedback, or do you want more of a nicer environment? At LinkedIn we wear jeans. Other companies we wear suit and tie. Do I work with LinkedIn so I can wear jeans? No. And it is always an adjustment for people who are coming here. And what works for you? You want flexible hours. Sometimes that means you're working really early in the morning and really late at night, because the culture is sort of always on all the time. Some organizations are very 9 to 5. That's great. And you have to think about that. Do you want to work from home? Maybe be in sales. Maybe you prefer sort of seeing clients face to face, or would you prefer to be in the office every day, have a kind of consistent routine? And then do you like to travel? I used to say I would never work for in a job that travels, and I travel every other week now in my role. I was in San Francisco yesterday for work, and I get pretty tired. But I also, that outweighs the fact that I have some other benefits, and I love what I do on a regular basis. And so no job is going to meet all of your requirements, but it's important to think about that and ask those kind of questions. And even if a job doesn't sound cool, or maybe it doesn't sound like something you want to do, or something you even majored in, it can meet those qualifications. And work activities you prefer, right? So one of the best questions that a professor ever asked me as we were going through career counseling was not what do you want to do, but what do you like doing? Like, do you like coaching people? Maybe it's coaching your friends on how to be better at a specific subject. Do you like solving problems using data? Do you like being by yourself, right, and taking long walks, right? Those things are really important. And when it gets in the work context, do you want a task in front of you, or do you want something more conceptual? More being the kind of bigger picture. Do you want total variability in your work, or do you want something to be very similar? Do you want to be with people, right? I'm sort of a person, if you took the Myers-Briggs, which I'm sure tests like that are sort of a part of your all's career journey and sort of part of the process is available to you. I'm sort of on the border between extrovert and introvert. And so I've always struggled with this of, what is my type? What do I like to do? What's important to me? I love being around people. I wouldn't be really successful if I worked from home every day. But I get really exhausted sometimes because LinkedIn's a very extrovert-friendly culture. Sometimes I need to take breaks and really make sure that I'm being my best self. And so you got to keep asking yourself there. And the more you're aware of what is important to you, the more I think you'll find the kind of job that's right. And also, you'll go to that interview more prepared, right? You'll be a better candidate for those folks who are looking to hire you if you're more self-aware and you can really speak to that and not afraid to sort of be honest with who you are. And lastly, what gives you a sense of purpose on the job, right? Is your goal to change the industry? Is your goal to get well paid for your family, right? Do you want to, are you angry about something? Does something upset you? Or are you still trying to learning? What gives you that kind of purpose? Because there's going to be tough days, right? There's going to be times you're going through this job search, or you're going through that actual job, and you're like, this isn't what I thought it'd be, right? Or I hope this works out. And so the more you have that kind of deep-rooted ones, that will help drive you. And something that I get really excited about is really being in the forefront of technology, and also being in an environment that really helps transform people. So even if I don't have a team that I work with every single day, I'm not maybe mentoring people in the same way that Ashley is in her role, I'm still working with individuals and helping solve their problems. And so guys, again, as we sort of progress through this hour, a little less than that, feel free to ask questions in the chat box. Ashley and I want to make sure that you all get your questions answered, and if we can't answer it today, we're a resource for you. And so we talked about profiles, we talked about career interest. How do we do this, right? How do we find a job, right? And so 70% of jobs are found through networking, right? It's an important way to sort of engage with your opportunities that are out there. And I'll be honest with you, it's unlikely that someone's going to email you tomorrow with a job offer. It's also unlikely that if you apply to a job today, that you're going to get hired for that job. A lot of great candidates apply to every single job. And if you've been in a hiring process before, you'll know that a lot of times there's a ton of great people out there. And you have to do sort of your homework to learn what's out there, what's coming. And I speak back to my own career. It's all about networking. And this is coming from someone, I don't really like networking. I hate big crowds. I don't, as I think about as I devote my time to things, I'm not really natural at reaching out into people and just having networking conversations. It's not a comfort zone for me. But that's not an excuse, right? This is not a society where only certain type of people are supposed to get jobs. And I encourage you all to think about networking as really, really important. So who are your connections? And who could you reach out to, right? So you have friends, and they have friends, and they have friends, right? So thinking about that, who could you leverage, right? Maybe some friends, maybe some family, maybe some people you worked with in a past job. You can ask for an introduction. Obviously, LinkedIn's a part of that journey. We can help you all learn who you could be connected to, right? So say you get connected with Ashley, and you see that Ashley is connected to someone who works at Ernst & Young, a great accounting firm. Based on Ashley, relationship with Ashley, you could say, hey Ashley, could you connect me with your friend Sarah, who works at Ernst & Young? You don't know Sarah, but if it's a good fit and you feel comfortable doing that, you can absolutely have that kind of conversation. I also want to encourage you to feel bold, and as you reach out through networking, sending someone you don't know a connection request is not really recommended on LinkedIn, but dropping them a message and saying, hey, this is why I'm reaching out to you, and I'm maybe complimenting them. Your background as a product marketing manager is really appealing. Could we talk more about that, right? So leveraging that, and yes, connect with your parents. I get that question a lot from students. It's okay to connect with your parents. Actually, more importantly, your parents' friends, because they have a lot of great jobs that they do. And sometimes I know this when I grew up, I never talked to my parents and my parents' friends about what they did, and it turns out there's some really cool people, extended family, that do really cool things. Even if they don't do a job that you want to do, you can ask them questions, and they've been through their own journey. And so while you may be sort of on your own now and sort of making your own career, I know my parents don't fully understand what LinkedIn is either, despite me working here for about 2 years now. Have those kind of conversations, and if you're feeling really generous, which is something I was feeling last Christmas, help build out your parents' LinkedIn profile, because they really appreciate it as they go through their career journey. The LinkedIn alumni tool, right? And so we want to help you all build out your alumni network. And so in the last couple years, LinkedIn's really built out our university partnership. So the IPFW has your own university page where you and all other students and alumni can really affiliate there. So if you didn't go to IPFW, you have your own schools, and you can follow them. Even if you didn't go there, you can do your own research. You can actually go to, via the LinkedIn kind of alumni database, and look for people who do accounting in the Chicago area, as an example, who went to IPFW, right? You're taking that world that seemed daunting, right? I'm interested in accounting, and shrinking it down. and you can, just like they can learn about you through your LinkedIn profile, you can learn about them. Maybe a specific type of accounting, maybe it's someone who just graduated or someone who's really senior, right? So leverage that LinkedIn alumni tool to understand what's going on out there. And if you think about the alumni database that all these different universities have, is they're awesome, but sometimes I'll be honest, I don't go in and update my Vanderbilt alumni profile because my LinkedIn's up to date. If someone really wants to talk to me, they can just look at my LinkedIn when I change roles or move cities. And so, LinkedIn.com/alumni, play around in there, try to make it really user-friendly. You actually can follow universities and really just learn more. So if you're in the exploration phase, you can start, but also if you want to do a search, if you want to engage with alumni, you can reach out to them, send messages as appropriate, and have really productive conversations. And here's sort of an example, and so you're narrowing that kind of world down. And so, again, feel free to ask any questions you all have, but research. And so I think this is a underrated part of the job search, right? So you want to grow your skills, we want to help you grow your brand, we also want to help you grow your knowledge of what's out there, right? What's the right way to approach a career? What's the right message you need to be sending to your potential employers? So how to do research on LinkedIn. You can learn a lot about companies through LinkedIn. They want you to learn more about there. What's it like to work at different organizations? What's the culture like? Where are their offices? What jobs are open? You can also check out employee profiles. And so we'll dig into this more and more. But don't be afraid to, even if you don't know someone, even if you don't want to connect with them, to say, you know what, I'm interested in being a project manager at Eli Lilly. What are the backgrounds of those people who do that? Right? What are they doing? And sort of engage with that network to learn more about them. Look at job postings, join industry groups. Digging deeper. And we'll talk about this as well. We want to give you content, right? It's not about a job, right? If you're interested in healthcare, you should be up to date on healthcare when you go to an interview or you have that kind of informational interview and conversation. And LinkedIn.com/skills is also, again, a great resource. So the company page. Let's use Microsoft as an example. It's a big one, but a lot of probably you all know Microsoft as a product, but you don't know what it's like as a company. They're doing a great job, and all companies, are small to large, really care about their professional brand on social media. Sometimes as a candidate you don't realize this, but they really want you to think really highly of them. And you can learn more what products are they coming out with, what's going on, and how are they kind of telling their story. There's also a career page, and this is for a prospective candidate a really important thing to do. Not all companies have career pages, because sort of an enhancement that they can choose to have. But Siemens in this example wants you to know what they're like, right? So you may have heard of Siemens. They're a huge company, and they want to help you with that process. And Ashley just asked a good question. So we're going to talk about employee profiles. Absolutely, there is a way that to sort of become more private. And so what that means is you're going to individuals' profiles that you don't know, or maybe you don't want to show them in general, you haven't looked at it. You can go in your privacy settings, which is near the picture on the top right-hand screen. And what that can do is you can turn off your sort of activity broadcast and turn off what other people see when you view their profile. Now, in the nature of our network, as a result of that, you won't be able to see who viewed your profile. But definitely, if that's important to you and you're doing this, we would definitely understand that you want to do that. So yeah, on the career page, you can watch videos, you can see employee testimonials, and really this will help you with the job process. And so when you think about employee profiles, really dig into that. And thinking about LinkedIn has a lot of employees, Siemens has a lot of employees, Ernst & Young, right? So again, you can make it more narrow and you can learn more. What's also really cool about LinkedIn, if you see here how you're connected, when you look at a given company, the first people who will show up from the employee profiles will be people who you're connected to or connect it through your second and third degree, right? So Eli Lilly may have tens of thousands of employees, but we want to surface the people that you're most likely to know. And if you go here to see all, you'll see all of the employees and be able to sort of search there. So it's not just like a list you have to look through. So career paths. Let's look at Heather here, right? So she's a senior HR associate at Black & Veatch in Kansas City. Perhaps she went to your same school, or maybe you're connected with her and you're really interested in working in Black & Veatch, and you're interested in HR. Think about, how did you get where she was today? Like, what took her to this journey? You want to look back. She started out in field operations and customer service. Did she say, I want to be a customer service professional for my life? No. But she was at a great company, and it seems like she probably had some good experiences. She rose through the ranks there. She became a coordinator, then an assistant, and then she made a pivot into HR, right? And so the different experiences she had maybe gave her a great understanding of people. And you can understand what she's done at these roles through her profile. And so while it may feel like you're doing stalking, for lack of a better word, you're learning, right? And it's learning for your own benefit. And this individual, if you're connected with her, has put this information out there for a reason, because she wants her connections to sort of know about that. And if you were to reach out to Heather, say you're connected with her through a friend, it's okay to sort of reference the fact that you were impressed by her journey through customer service to HR, and you're thinking about the same thing, and she clearly did some activities in those roles that were impactful, right? That helped her be more successful. And so it's a great way to open it rather than simply lead with, hey, can I have some of your time? And then job postings, right? So these can often be wordy and often very HR heavy, legal heavy, if you will. But each job has requirements, and the managers and the human resources folks put them together for a reason. They want to hire against that profile, if you will. So if you know what you want to be doing in 5 to 10 years, start thinking about what's required. Do I need a graduate degree? Do I need specific coding skills? Or do I need to have a strong record of sales and quota attainment, right? There's different things along the lines. If you're going to go for that job, they're going to ask you questions about that, right? If you want to do sales at LinkedIn, we're going to ask you, tell me about successes you've had selling before. Saying, I want to work for LinkedIn is not enough, right? A lot of people want to work for LinkedIn. A lot of people want a good job. And that's not a knock on anybody, but rather the fact of the matter is it's a very competitive sort of ecosystem out there. And so as you're thinking about applying to a job, don't feel like you can apply to jobs that you may not be a fit for. That's the human resources job to filter you in or out. But thinking about that with conversations, prepping for interviews, and again, benchmarking and learning about what jobs are out there. If you say, hey, I want to be a project manager, or you want to learn to be a project manager, what does that mean, right? Again, you want to talk to people who do that, but you also want to learn, what their specific qualifications are and what they're looking for. Industry groups. So in this example, you see a list of engineering and computer science groups on LinkedIn. We encourage you to network, right? So maybe it's engineering professionals of Indiana or of the Fort Wayne area, or maybe it's a global group with individuals who are, across the world or across the nation that you can learn from. And so you simply go up to the search bar, and you can search for groups. And so in the little drop down, which will be right here, it's not really appearing, you can search for specific groups, and you can look at different groups. And so you can join up to 50 groups, and you can turn off the email alerts if they're emailing you too often. It's a great way to network. You can ask a question of, hey, I'm graduating this year from IPFW. Does anyone have a success story of how they entered the network? Or, hey, I'm looking to learn SQL or Hadoop to grow my technical skills. How did you all do this? What are some good free courses that are out there, right? And people may or may not respond, but it's a great way to narrow your network down and also make new connections, right? If you really want to work at Eli Lilly and you see other programmers and computer science folks at Eli Lilly, again, start that kind of conversation. And people want to learn more. And we've all had experiences where we didn't have a job, or we wanted a specific job that we were going for. So people have a desire to help. And honestly, if they don't really want to help you and they don't want to have that kind of productive conversation with you, maybe they're not the kind of person that you want to work with or work for anyways. Influencers. So LinkedIn today, influencers, you see a lot of celebrities out there. You see a lot of also business professionals. There's great folks from Barack Obama to Jeff Weiner, our CEO, to names you may not know, but executives at different organizations who are thought leaders. There's a lot of information out there about business, and LinkedIn content is a very snackable, if you will, way to learn more. So 5 tricks to getting into the engineering world. 3 ways to become a better leader today. Ways to sort of rejuvenate over your holiday break. Again, a really nice way to learn more and make LinkedIn more about more than just your network. So some of you in the poll mentioned you really don't log into LinkedIn but once a month, and maybe probably exceptions connections. We understand that, and we want you to find some value from LinkedIn beyond jobs, because some of you may be in a spot where you're really happy with your job, or you're really happy with the job you're going to go to, and you're going to be there for a few years. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have a burnished LinkedIn profile and a really kind of effective presence, because you can keep learning more and making connections that are going to make you better at the job you have today. So how am I going to access this on LinkedIn? So if you see here on the left, we have links to linkedin.com. If you don't have a profile, it's a super simple process to sign up and really start building your connections and building your profile. We do have a student jobs portal where organizations are posting jobs that they want to hire students for. It's a great way to sort of access that and to sort of supplement what the great team at IPFW is doing for you. We also have a university portal, which is a great place for folks like Ashley and folks like you, folks like your administrators, sort of all come together to one place, and as well for companies to do that as well. And so here's a shot of the student portal. There's a lot of great resources out here. You can narrow it down and hopefully have a really good time on there. And so you're at a fork in the road. LinkedIn is not a tough thing to join. It doesn't take a lot of time, but your journey is just that, a journey, right? It's not I'm graduating and this is my job I need, or I want a new job, or I really just don't need a new job, right? It's really about how you are continuing to develop your professional brand and your professional network for the long haul. And so just some kind of quick tips is go access linkedin.com, get on there, get that profile up to date, and do some research and learn more. And this is not a 3-hour exercise tonight. Maybe it's 15 minutes a day and 30 minutes tomorrow and 20 minutes on Saturday, right? This is something you can do really effectively. I encourage you, for those of you who are mobile friendly, download the app. The LinkedIn app is really great, and I don't say that because I work here. We also have separate applications for job seekers, so it's an app dedicated to jobs. And there's other great jobs out there on different apps. But then again, this helps make this experience less daunting. 52% of LinkedIn traffic is on mobile, and so we want to make sure that you're able to do this. And if you don't have time for LinkedIn, then truly talk to me, because I think there's opportunities to make that time. And then reach out to those who can help you. Again, we talked about this a lot today, but don't be scared, right? Have kind of really productive, have conversations that you think are going to lead somewhere, but be okay if people don't reach back to you, or always have the answers for you. Even apply for the jobs. Be bold, apply to a lot of jobs, put the time in, because it's a competitive market out there. And so, thanks for your time. We have about 15 minutes left. So I do want to help you all answer any questions I have, so please use the chat to do that, and we'll address them. Great, awesome. So some questions coming in. The first one's from Brandon. How does LinkedIn help connect students to potential internships? Awesome. So one, through the student jobs portal. So definitely check that out. Companies are hiring for internships on LinkedIn. Typically, internship recruitment starts around now through January through March. But I would tell you from my experience looking for an internship, companies are less likely to post internship jobs than they are full-time jobs. Simply because they go through other networks. They go through their employees. They go through campus recruiting like IPFW has. So that's where networking is really important, right? So if you're interested in an internship, reach out. At LinkedIn, we hired our last interns through connections. And these are not kind of, let's just hire this guy that I know, but rather networking. And so you got to be bold with that. And I think being a student is the best spot to be networking, right? Because everybody's been a student once, and they know what it feels like. So definitely sort of a mix of those, but also look for internships. And that Student Jobs Portal will have plenty of internships as well. So Professor Reese, PG at ipfw.edu. LinkedIn has asked, professors, he or she's really happy, but isn't looking for a job and really wants to learn more to network professionally. Absolutely, and that's what I encourage everyone to sort of think about LinkedIn, is that your job is not going to be something you change every month, but your learning is. And so grow your connections, get out on LinkedIn.com, search for people, maybe old connections or people who have similar experiences, and learn from them, right? So maybe, Reese, you're looking for other professors in the marketing space to talk to, or you're looking for potential research subjects. My wife is actually a doctoral student in business economics, and she uses LinkedIn to sort of understand what's going on in the world and to stay up to date with news, but also to network with other potential research subjects. She studies companies, or to network with other professors, learn what they're doing, collaborate on research, and you actually can publish and put your publications on LinkedIn. Michael asked, I have a LinkedIn account but stopped visiting it some time ago. How do I revise an old account? Great question. What we don't want you to do is create a second account. Having two identities out on LinkedIn is just going to get complicated. So if you've forgotten the email address you've used or forgotten the password, there's sort of the typical kind of workarounds that we have to do to maybe reset your password or reset your email. But yeah, so think about what email address you use. Try to log in with some old passwords. If you forgot your password, there's a customer service team. There's a reset password link that will help you there. And maybe just go in and spend some time cleaning it up. But we don't encourage sort of two identities. So Michael, if you have two profiles, through our customer service help center, there is the ability to merge profiles into one. But you're growing your network and your connections, and you want to keep that and not lose it. Great questions, though. Julia asks, as an alum, what are the advantages of subscribing as a as a job seeker, the paid membership. So there are premium accounts that individuals will have. I think the first step is getting a good profile, but what Job Seeker does, it gives you greater visibility to your network, right? So we want to protect our members' privacy, and for our paid members, we give them sort of increased access to this system. Also, when you apply to a job at organizations, the job seekers rise to the top, sort of premium placements, and you have sort of greater ability to do research, right? And so we want our members to sort of have the ability, if they're looking for a job actively, to do more searches, and send messages. So right now, you can only send messages, in-mails, if you will, to individuals you're connected with, right? Those are your network. With the Job Seeker subscription, you can send messages and in-mails to individuals that you're not connected with, but maybe up to your third degree. And so the Job Seeker, there's different plans that are out there. And if you are actively looking for a job, it could be something worth investigating and trying out. Yeah, good question. And so Michael had another question about sort of accessing the old account. Sorry for the confusion there, Michael. How to freshen it, and so looked at by seekers again. I think it goes back to sort of some of the tips we looked at earlier in terms of building your old profile, updating with the kind of information, going into edit profile and sort of following the prompts of what needs to go, and then growing your network, right? So if everybody should have a goal of how do you hit 500 connections. That's sort of the magic number. Connecting with colleagues, potential, people that you worked with in the past, people you're in school with, people you used to go to school with. I'm connected to people from high school, and that's okay, because it's cool to hear about people's journey. Every time you connect with someone, you grow your network by an exponential amount because you're accessing their network as well. So you connect with your friend Sarah from high school, she has a network, and you see what she's doing. Even if you don't want to take that specific job, it's a great way to sort of go in there and freshen it up. And again, LinkedIn will prompt you on people to maybe we recommend you connecting with, maybe people who went to school with you, people who are connected to people you're connected with, and just spend some time, honestly. See some other questions coming through now. Yeah, Brandon asked a good question. It's really relevant. For the honors section in LinkedIn profile, can I include honors awards I received in high school? Yes, definitely. If you're a current college student, this is a great thing to do, right? Because we understand that everybody's career is their own journey. And I'll tell you, I received some honors in high school, and it was on my resume and on my LinkedIn maybe when I first started it, but over time it sort of fell off, right? And I would defer that question also to Ashley and to the career folks, because you all probably have more experience working with companies who are looking at resumes. But yeah, if you're a current student and you had some really cool successes in high school, put them on there, but know that over time you'll want to focus on the ones that are maybe more recent. And I'd say with any kind of content on LinkedIn, it's all about kind of telling a story, right? So don't tell all the 15 different clubs you're a part of in college. Show where you've been a leader, or show what's interesting to you, right? So if you're interested in business, talk about maybe the business club you're in, or how you worked on a project with a professor. We know everybody takes biology, but unless that's really part of your journey, don't really list that out. Any other questions? Susan asked, yeah, so a similar question to earlier about not alerting the person you looked at. So I would look into the privacy settings. And so once you go there, which is in the top right portion of your linkedin.com, you see your face there. What you'll simply do is have a drop down and go to your privacy settings. And you can change what people can see when you view their profile. Yeah, absolutely, Ashley. It was wonderful, and thank you all. And if you have any questions, please defer out through Ashley and the team.